Welcome to another new year, 2025. Thank you for joining me this evening for another fellowship and conversation from the Lord's table. Well, we made it. You made it, I made it, and we're delighted and we're glad that God has been so good to us and faithful to us and blessed us to see this wonderful year of 2025. You know, most of the time when the new year rolls around, everybody's making New Year resolutions and gyms are cutting the fees to join because they know how we think. We want to get started. Everybody has all these good ideas and they want to get fit. They have their resolutions and they want to stop bad habits and they want to start some good habits, and the list goes on. You might feel a little pessimistic about your resolutions, but let me share this with you that some start out good, but they don't finish well. And there are others that don't start out too good, but they finish well. Both naturally and spiritually, there are some things that we may need to evaluate and reevaluate in this new year, 2025. I think about Paul in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 22 through 24. In the NIV, it says, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires." And he says, "To be made new in the attitude of your minds, as to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." This particular passage in Ephesians essentially is instructing the believer to put off their old self, and which is corrupted, said by sinful desires, and to put on a new self created in God's image or characterized by true righteousness and holiness. And what this signifies, my friend, is the need to completely transform one's life from a life of sin to a life that's aligned with God's will through renewal of the mind and power of the Holy Spirit, because you can't do it by yourself. So one of the key points in that, he talks about the old self. Represents the sinful nature, those things that are defiant to God, and those things that are opposite to what God would desire of us, that are pleasing to Him, and the way of life before accepting Christ, what you were before, and now that what your life is like now that you have accepted Christ. And he says, so that you don't be filled with those deceitful desires. And then he says to put off, which means to actively reject or abandon the old self and its behaviors. Walk away from them. Repentance, a turnaround, turning from. And then he talks about the new self, which represents your new identity, received through Christ and is marked by the righteousness and the holiness of God. And then he says we are created to be like God. He's emphasizing that transformation is not just outward behavior change, but a deeper renewal of the inner being. So, however, the real question is, what is at the heart behind our desire to change? And that's what we're going to be talking about in our next few weeks that we have with you in this month, is making changes. That's going to be our focus, making changes. Everybody wants to make some kind of change in the beginning of the year. We have our list of the changes we'd like to make, both spiritually and naturally, some for the good, some for the better. And then we ask ourselves, do you want to be more beautiful in the world's eyes? Is that why you want physical changes? Is it that we desire to make more money in this year? Or is your heart set on achieving goals that you didn't achieve in 2024, and you want to achieve those things in 2025? Well, in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, it reminds us to lay aside every sin and the weight. In other words, it's saying actively remove all burdens, both sinful actions and negative influences in our life that will hinder spiritual growth. So let me talk to the believers right now. That you say you're delivered from sin, you've been saved from sin. But let's talk about those weights. Let's talk about those changes that we need to make that will hinder us from being productive in our health, in our emotional well-being, in our mental well-being, and our spiritual well-being, the whole gamut of who we are as a human being. Those are the things we want to talk about, and those changes that we need to make ourselves better. We here at EC have a saying says, come go with us, do life with us, and live a better life. Come to know God, find freedom, discover purpose, and make a difference. And I say after that, let's go make disciples. So essentially, what Hebrews is saying to us in chapter 12, letting go of anything that weighs you down and prevents you from fulfilling and following God's commands. And this phrase is most commonly found, again, in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, where he uses the analogy there of a runner needing to shed extra weight to run effectively. And we know that if you've seen marathons and the Olympics, that the runners in the race run with very light clothing. They don't have boots and jeans and jackets on, but they lay aside anything that will hinder them from running productively and causing them not to win the race. So let's talk about making those changes, pulling off some things emotionally, those things physically, mentally, behaviors that need to change to make us more productive in all areas of our life. So I want you to get a pen, I want you to get some paper and take some notes with me. This is going to kind of be like a classroom talk this evening. And ask yourself, and what changes do you need to make? If you don't have pencil and paper right now and you don't want to miss what I'm saying, go back and replay this. Share it with a family member, share it with a friend, get a group together, sit around and talk about what changes you need to make. It's a good conversation piece. It's a good group study if you want to have one. What changes do you want to make? And then what do you need to pull off? Or what do you need to put on in 2025? As you get your pen and paper, as you go back and replay this, get a plan to create a framework, should I say. As I ask you to take notes, you're going to create a framework for change in your life. If you feel like it's a new year, but you're still the old you, then you're not alone, because there's a lot of people listening, and there's a lot around you that know it's a new year, but they don't feel like anything's changed with them, or the circumstance or surroundings hasn't changed at all. Well, the clock is changing and the calendar date is changing even as we're talking right now. It's continually changing. So as I speak, you may have that feeling. I call it the stuck feeling. The stuck feeling is experiencing a sense of being trapped or unable to move forward in a situation. I can't tell you the number of people and the countless number of people that I have conversation with in spiritual guidance and in counseling that feel stuck in a relationship, doesn't feel that the friendship's going into a relationship, feel stuck in a workplace, feel stuck in ministry, don't feel like they're really growing to being productive, but experiencing a sense of being trapped or unable to move forward in a situation. It could be financially that you feel stuck, that you're in a hole and you never feel like you're coming out. But this trap experience is often accompanied by frustration, it's accompanied by helplessness, and a lack of clarity about how to proceed to go further. Some people say, I really want to, but I don't know how to. So it makes you feel like you're repeating the same patterns over and over again and again. And I often say that we don't want this new year to be a repeat of anything bad last year. So you feel there's no progress being made. Well, maybe there's something deeper that's causing you to miss the mark of your goals. And sometimes probing questions help us to be able to go deeper and discover some things sometimes that we're suppressing or we don't want to deal with. But at some point we got to bring it up and we got to deal with it and hit it head on. So you may want to write these questions down again as you create your framework. That's what I want to help you do tonight. Create a framework of the changes in your life. Ask yourself, what does God want my goal to be this year? You know, you and God, you work together because the Bible says we're his workmanship. In other words, it's a continual work created unto good works, a workmanship on its way somewhere, a workmanship on its way to destiny, and that destiny is good works. So in my tenure in ministry and living life, I've met very few people who have a plan for their lives. And so what happens, you're either going to live by chance or you're going to live by choice. I want to say that again. You're either going to live by chance or live by choice. So the first question I want you to ask yourself and write down, ask yourself, what does God want my goal to be this year in 2025? What's in your heart? What is it that you want God to sanction and you want God to be with you in the goal that you set for 2025? Most people are spectators in their own lives. They're watching their lives unfold a day at a time. You know what? That leads nowhere good. Nowhere good at all. Usually it leads to disillusionment and discouragement, because disillusionment and discouragement can be an enemy to your future. Disillusionment is feeling disappointed resulting from discovering something that is not good as you believed it to be. The discouragement is the loss of confidence or enthusiasm. Another question that may be in front of us and in front of you tonight is some parts of us, we know we need a plan. Along with knowing, we also need to make some changes in our life. I need a plan, but I need to make some changes before I even try to even framework a plan. So once we form that plan and get it in place and start the execution stage, then we ask ourselves, what do you want to do in this new year of 2025? One thing you don't want to do is start drifting. That's why you need a plan. You don't want to start drifting because, let's face it, you just don't drift to destinations you would have chosen. You dream big for your life. More than that, you want to turn those dreams into a reality, right? You want all your dreams to turn into reality. You want them to come true. You want visions to come to fruition. Well, you need a plan. But the trick is, how do we do it? And that's what some people say. I know what I need, but I don't know how to do it. Well, the first reality is this, is most people are not writers. And they struggle to know how to generate the best possible ideas. And sometimes you need to reach out for some help to have somebody help you articulate or write down or put into formation of what you feel is in your heart and your passion, or you feel that creativeness that's in your mind, you want it to come forth. So how do I find the right words to capture those ideas, to even tell somebody to put it down on paper for me? Well, the second reality is this. It can be emotionally difficult when you start talking about a plan for the future, knowing that seasons change in your life. And I often say, and people remind me of what I say, that when you are 21, the way you think at 15, you don't think that way when you turn 21. Then I say when you turn 21, by the time you hit those 30s, you don't think the same way at 30 that you did at 21. So life is changing. Connections are changing. Relationships are changing. So when you start looking into the future and you start frameworking a plan, you start thinking about lifespan and seasons of change in your life. And you've heard me, and you've heard the saying, and I've heard people say, I've said it, once a man, they say twice a child. And then you wonder, what does that mean, once a man, twice a child? It's a proverb, and it refers to the stages of human life and the idea that people can become dependent on others again, even in an older age or when life deals them certain circumstances. Childhood, people are dependent and they're helpless. Adulthood, people grow into adulthood and become independent and strong. Then you got older age. That's where people may again become dependent on others and similar to their childhood, where they need a caretaker or someone to look out for them or to help them in areas of their life. So the proverb suggests here that the extreme old age can return a person to the dependency and mental condition of a child. I've seen it, and if you live long enough and been around people, you've seen it also. It's called the theory of retrogenesis. Once a man, twice child, meaning that we start out in life as a child, grow into an adult, then as we age and lose abilities, both physical and cognitive, we become a child again. So I want to keep it simple with you this evening, and let's make it fun. Let's have some fun with this. So where do we start in this plan? Start with your heart. Start with your heart. You start with your heart. The first step of creating a plan, a life plan, is to consider who you are. Who are you? Who are you at the core? Specifically, you need to know your values and you need to know your mission. I often say, lay down with satisfaction, get up in the morning with a mission. Know your values. Values are individual beliefs that motivate people to act one way or another. They serve as a guide for human behavior. Generally, people are predisposed to adopt the values that they're raised with, and people also tend to believe that those values are right because they're the values of that particular culture that they were raised in. So what is mission? I say you need a personal mission. And a personal commission, and I want to hit that for a minute, a personal mission is a concise statement that defines a person's core values, a purpose in life, how they intend to live out their purpose in life, and how they intend to live their life. So your personal mission statement is going to act as a guiding principle to help you make decisions, help you stay focused in your long-term goals. And it outlines what you want to achieve and the impact you want in the world. You probably see mission statements everywhere. You've seen them in company walls. You've seen them in lobbies. You've seen them inside promotional brochures. Mission statements define, for example, a business or organization's identity, their purpose, and they can go a long way in helping a company, organization, a church, a ministry create a vision for the future. Kind of sets the tone. But did you know that you can have a mission statement for you? Yes, you can. You need one, a mission statement for yourself. It's called personal mission statement. And it could be exactly the good change you need going into 2025. You're never too young to have one. And trust me, at 70, soon to be 71, February 17th, you're never too old to have one. Your personal mission statement will help you identify your goals. That's what you need. Find the motivation to accomplish them. Two things. It helps you identify your goal, find the motivation to accomplish it. Okay, I hear you asking, how do I identify my goals? First of all, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it smart. Goals are broad statements that provide a vision of the work you're doing and you want to accomplish in this year of 2025. Setting goals can help you do this. You maintain focus and motivation. You prioritize the task at hand, and you make informed decisions, and you track your progress. So how do I identify those goals? All right, write this down, or you're going to go back, listen to it, and then make your notes. Make them SMART. SMART stands for goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and time-bound. This is known as the SMART goal method. Again, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Write those goals down. When you write them down, your goals help you clarify what you want to achieve. Then you track your progress. You can use a spreadsheet, or they have performance management software out there to track your progress towards your goals. Or you can prioritize your goals. And once you have your long-term goals, you can prioritize what you need to do in your daily life. Because the way you accomplish them, one day at a time, one step at a time. Then you create action plans. Identify what action you want to accomplish and what type of outcome you're seeking. You have to determine what's urgent, what's not so urgent, what's important, and what's not important, what can wait and what can't wait. So base your goals on needs. Your goals should be based on some needs you've identified. And I suggest that your life plan include 5 to 7 values. Zero in on what really matters to you. What matters to you? Because what matters to you is what you're going to give your passion to. It means, here's one of mine. Let me define what it means to you, or what it means to me as you define what it means to you. Growth is mine. Growth. I pride myself in wanting to be a lifelong learner. So I'm still adamant if wanting to fulfill my God-given potential in the season that I'm in right now, in this lifespan. So I want to constantly be growing and constantly learning, taking my health and wellness and fitness serious with God's help and some effort on my part. I want to change and figure out almost anything that is going to benefit my life. If that's going to work for me, God, I want that. If it's going to complicate me, then later for that. Growth can mean different things for different people. Elements of that growth process for me means finding ways to live a fulfilling life. I'm excited about being an intern counselor at the Student Counseling Center at Mid-American Nazarene University campus in Olathe. And the growth process for me has been amazing as I went back to get a second master's, and will be done with that May of 2026. So I'm in my practicum and internship because I wanted to enter another platform of ministry. And what better ministry to enter into than the platform to helping young people in school and college navigate through life that may not have a mentor or may not have someone in their life that can help them, and they're just trying to find their way. So I'm really excited about that. That growth process for 2025 for me means having a positive attitude. We talk about obedience, and in Isaiah, he talks about being willing and obedient so you can eat the fruit of the land and eat the good of the land. But I found out as I study and more, and you see people use that scripture, they fail to realize that obedience is action, but being willing is an attitude. They're two different things. You say if you're willing and obedient, in other words, how's your attitude? Because you can be doing something because you know it's right to do, but your attitude can be off with it. So your attitude and your obedience must be congruent with each other. You got to do it from your heart. So my goal for this year is to make sure that my attitude remains positive, staying active, maintaining a sharp mind. What you don't use, you'll soon lose it. Staying connected with loved ones and practicing self-care, prioritizing my health and accepting the changes that come with age, finding meaning and joy, and then learning to cope with change, because change happens. And as change happens, you got to learn to cope with it. Some expected and some unexpected. It's called growing gracefully. So again, I am a student of the younger generation. I like to sit with them and find out their perspective on how they view the world, their perspectives on politics and religion, their perspective on social economics. And so I'm learning a lot from them as I sit in these classes and even in the congregation, surrounding myself with these young adults and emerging adults and middle-aged adults, particularly that younger generation from 18 and even those teens, preteens, to learn a lot from them. So as I'm a student of theirs, they're a student of me. They want to learn from me and I want to learn from them. So we're kind of bridging those generations, intergenerationally. So that's part of my goal in this season of life, to grow gracefully. I want to exercise regularly. My wife and I, she's very adamant about health and wellness, and so we created like a little workout room in one of the bedrooms at home, which has really been good during this time of being snowed in and the weather we have it. And if I don't feel like making the drive to where I normally go work out, then I have something at home. So that's a plus for us. Engaging in activities that stimulate the mind, sharing knowledge and skills and talents with others. I go to conferences and symposiums that's going to make me better. I look at podcasts and listen to them because I want to be still relevant even at this age and during this time. Mentoring and supporting younger people, expressing gratitude to those who have helped me. So your mission is what you're here on earth to accomplish. That's the point I'm trying to make. I just thought I'd throw some things out there to kind of help you, kind to gauge your framework, but it's made up in three parts. First is your roles. Your roles, those are the parts that you play in the world. Every one of you listening to me, you have a role, and you play a part in the world. You play a part in your world. Roles, whether for me, spiritual father, counselor, pastor, bishop, leader of leaders. It's not just a formal position for me. It's not just, quote, a title. It's how I show up in the world. I show up in the world to do what I feel I'm called to do. I want people to become all they can be. And I think that's the true mark of a leader, is to identify leaders and other leaders and to identify their qualities and their strengths and to help them become all they can be. I always say we're better together. And that desire flows from me in everything that I do. And your desire should flow from you of everything that you're called to do in the role that you've been assigned to. So your impact. So you got roles and now you got impact. Your impact includes the ideals you desire to further. And part of your impact, part of my impact, is to help people believe in a bigger, brighter future for themselves. Many people suffer with low self-esteem, with insecurities. And you'd be surprised, you don't care anything about social economic status. You can make 6 figures and still be insecure. You know, you can be the most handsome man in the world, most beautiful woman on the cover of the magazine, and still deal with insecurities and low self-esteem. So I want to help people dig deep in themselves to overcome those insecurities and that low self-esteem, to know that they are as much as they think they are. The scripture says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So you're bigger and brighter future than what you're doing now. I often say to people, there's more to you than what you see. When you look in that mirror, say to yourself, I'm the man God is with. I'm the woman God is with. I'm the boy God is with. The girl God is with. And there's more to me than what I can see in this mirror looking at myself. Then next, the third thing is your activities. So we got your roles. We got your impact, now your activities. Your activities are how you'll accomplish what you're setting out to do. Everything that you do should be connected with your mission and your goals and your vision. And this season and this new year will be all about leveraging what you have. So what do you mean, Bishop, leveraging what I have? It's to use something that you already have in order to achieve something new and something better. Sometimes your miracle's in your hand. Sometimes that miracle is something that you've been pondering over. Sometimes that release or that next level for you is something you already have, but you just got to use it to get into the new and get into the better that's awaiting for you. So whether that's in your knowledge. So how do I leverage? Leverage your knowledge, leverage relationships, material resources, skills, or anything else that you can think of. In other words, here is how your life plan will look, okay? I am who you are. Those are the roles. I exist. Why do I exist? To impact. I do this by how? Activities. Can I say that again? The I am part of you are the roles. The I exist part of you is how you make impact. The I do part of you is the activities that you execute. And my prayer is for all of you that are listening to me this evening, that you be razor focused in 2025. You don't have a lot of time to waste. Don't procrastinate. Get right on it. Be razor focused in 2025. In what you hear and what you're called to be here on earth. Between zeroing in on your values and your personal mission, you will never feel so purposeful. Well, we're going to stop right there and we're going to pick up next week. We got a lot to unpack. But I tell you what, there's so much more to unpack in the next few productions, so stay tuned. And others will be joining us, and we'll be digging in more into this thing called making changes in 2025. Until next time, be blessed. No, it's a new year, but the same God.